Hello and welcome to Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Gordon Denlinger of the 99th District in Eastern Lancaster County. It's great to have you join our show today, and I think we have a great program that you're really going to enjoy. I'm joined today by my good friend Joe Keffer of the New Holland Sportsman Shop, and we've been friends for many years, Joe, and enjoy chatting about Second Amendment issues on a regular basis and talking about the key issues that sportsmen are facing, not only with regard to firearms specifically, but the broader issues of Second Amendment rights across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So thrilled to join Joe here. We're in his beautiful store right in the middle of New Holland. And Joe, give us a little background on the Sportsman Shop. You've been here. I know I bought a gun, I think, on your 75th anniversary a few years ago. So tell us a little of the history here, if you could.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon. I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you. The Sportsman Shop was started in New Holland in 1954.
54, okay.
By Leo Kilhefner. He moved to this facility in the mid-60s, and the Kilhefner family owned the business up until 1992 when I purchased it. My family, my wife, my son Anthony, work in the business, and we've had it, this is our 21st year now.
Okay, 21 years,
Yep,
very good.
yep.
Very good. And as far as your success here and all of that, you folks have been a pillar in the community here for quite a long time.
Well, the community and the business has been good to us. In the 21 years that we've had it, it's changed. Certainly going back to 1954, it was quite different then as well. But,
sure.
In the period of time that we've had it, the hunting in Pennsylvania has changed. The interest in personal protection has changed. The types of rifles that people are target shooting and competing with has changed. So yes, we've tried to change with it, and I think we've done that.
And I think fair to say the interaction with government has certainly changed along the way
Very much so.
significantly.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you're a statewide voice on many of these issues, so sort of beyond the local connection we have here. I know you travel to Harrisburg to testify from time to time. I think you just did recently, and I'm interested in getting into some of those issues. But could you share with us your sort of official role with sort of the statewide effort?
Yeah. Well, I have had the privilege of sitting on the Board of Governors for the National Shooting Sports Foundation for the last 4 years. Coincident with that is my role as Pennsylvania Association of Firearm Retailer President.
Okay.
So I get the opportunity to get involved in those discussions at the state and local level.
So you're not only here as a local businessman, but you're hearing from all those gun shop owners across the state and president of the association.
Absolutely,
so you're right
yes.
right in the middle of it. So
Yep.
that's great. A few things that I'd like to kind of get into. You did testify, as I mentioned, before the House Judiciary Committee recently. And one of the issues that I run into with sportsmen as I'm out in the community is the whole NICS versus PICS issue, sort of the national or federal approvals process versus the state level, which is under the auspices of the PSP, the state police. And I know within the sportsman's community there are differing views on that. Can you talk to that issue for us?
Yes, back when PICS was originally set up, it was a result of the Brady Bill passage. And I know for myself at least, and I think I speak for most Pennsylvania dealers, we were quite relieved to find out that Pennsylvania was going to handle the background checks themselves through NICS on our behalf. It didn't take too long when we realized that there were both good parts and bad parts about that. We ran into situations where the Pennsylvania State Police, through the regulatory authority that was given to them, were able to do things differently than what the federally mandated NICS could do. For example, in the case of a individual who was attempting to purchase a firearm that went into what is termed as research, which generally means that there's something in their background. May or may not be a prohibitor, but there's something in their background that they want to take a look at to be sure. In the case of NICS, under federal law, NICS has 3 days to resolve that issue.
Okay.
At which time the dealer has the option, if they don't get it resolved in 3 days, the dealer has the option to go ahead and deliver that firearm. I don't think many do that, but that was a way that the federal government attempted to put pressure on NICS not to use that as a delaying tactic,
Tool.
if you will.
Yes.
Very early in the process, Pennsylvania went to a 5-day period, but never in Pennsylvania did the dealer have the option of delivering the firearm until it was resolved.
Okay.
Currently, they have 15 business days to resolve the issue. Now,
And just for perspective, now you have your counter here, and folks are coming in and they're showing you their identification, and you're going into the system. By percentages, how many folks are going to run into something in the background that's going to enter into these kinds of reviews?
well, the state police cites a percentage of 57% of the applicants get approved immediately.
57 immediately.
Without going to the operator, which is the first level of dealing with something else in the background. At that point, and I think I'm correct in this, an additional 30% are approved at that level within about 15 minutes
Okay.
or less.
So we're at 87% now.
The balance of them then have to go to another level, which can take up to 15 days.
Okay. Okay.
And then there is another process. Again, one of the good points of the PIC system, to be fair, is that if someone does get denied, you can actually file a challenge report to the Pennsylvania State Police. They are required then to respond directly to the consumer. What the issue is, they have an opportunity to refute it, and if it is appropriate, the state police will then go ahead and proceed with the sale, correct their records.
So there's an appeal under the state system,
Right.
but no such appeal under the federal?
Well, it's in the law in the federal system, but what the feds say is that they do not have any funds to support that process.
Okay.
So it is a much more onerous process, that being going through and getting records expunged and pardons and all those kind of things.
Now, you and I have chatted a number of times, but I think what I've heard is that among the dealer community and even out into the sportsman's community, that the NICS system is the preference at this point.
Well, in talking with dealers across the country, there are 35 states that use the NICS system solely. In talking with dealers that operate in those states, there's a general satisfaction with that system.
Okay.
Even through the recent surge of business, if you will.
Satisfaction driven by time response. They turn it around quickly.
That's correct.
Okay.
They experienced waits of maybe 15 minutes, whereas we had 45, 50-minute waits.
Under PICS, under the state system. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I want to move along, and that's obviously an ongoing debate.
It is.
You were providing some testimony recently, and there's some confusion about the topic of online gun sales. And I think there's a perception in the minds of some that you can just go onto a website and buy a gun. It'll show up, via FedEx on your doorstep without going through any of this. Is that accurate, or is that not the case?
No, that's totally inaccurate. Of course, people are certainly capable of breaking the law and doing whatever they might decide they want to do. But for a law-abiding citizen, the process is that you can go online, you can make a purchase, but that purchase then needs to be shipped to a licensed
certified,
dealer
registered dealer
in the state that you live in. And then the appropriate background checks and state requirements are met at that level.
Okay.
There is no such thing as a legal private sale on the internet.
Gotcha. Okay. Gun shows are a big topic right now. We have the Harrisburg show here locally, and I know you've been in the middle of the effort to kind of save that show. I guess we've had our challenges with Reed, and now NRA has stepped up. Can you give us a little, I know we're coming to break here, but just a little bit on that as far as where things stand?
Yeah, well, where things stand right now, Reed has backed out of the picture. The NRA stepped up and is going to put on a show by a new name, the Great American Outdoor Show.
Okay. Same February time frame?
Same time frame, same venue. They're going to use the farm show complex. And much the same type of show. It's going to be hunting, fishing, camping, outfitters, the whole gamut. And it's not becoming a big gun show. In fact, they've made the decision, they being the NRA, not to allow the delivery of firearms on the premises.
And that's been an NRA policy for a long time. But it's a change for us here with the show.
It's been a policy of the NRA for the various shows that they've done, which primarily is their annual membership meeting. This is a little different than that. I think that the people that have been coming to that Harrisburg show for 50-some years and expecting to be able to make purchases are going to voice their interest in continuing to be able to do that.
Should we use the word opposition or concern there? Okay, yeah. Very good.
We are going to support the NRA show despite the fact we don't agree with that
policy.
That particular policy.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Well, we're into some good issues here. We're going to take a short break at this point, and I'll be back with Joe Keffer of the Sportsman Shop in New Holland with some more issues on Second Amendment and guns in Pennsylvania. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute.
Did you know that there are 6 ornate bronze chandeliers hanging in the house chamber? The 4 large chandeliers are estimated to weigh 3 tons each. Yet these iron and brass fixtures painted in 18-karat gold manage to dangle effortlessly. It takes 168 light bulbs to light the large chandeliers and 84 light bulbs on each of the smaller chandeliers. As you can imagine, changing the light bulbs when they burn out is far from easy. Workers must build scaffolding in order to reach their 1,450 light bulbs. Today, special, long-life, low-wattage energy-saving bulbs are used to lessen the amount of times that the light bulbs will need to be replaced. Now you know.
Welcome back to Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Gordon Denlinger of the 99th District, Eastern Lancaster County. And joining me today is Joe Kepfer, and we're back again. Joe, thank you again for joining me on today's show. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
There's been, of course, as we all know, a real surge in gun sales over the last number of years here. Some of that driven by concerns about regulation, availability, and all that. I'm wondering if you can speak to those issues. If folks come into the shop here, are they going to find empty shelves or limits on what they can get to? Can you speak to the supply?
Yes, supply of firearms and ammunition have been difficult. We have been fortunate. We, in anticipation of some possible legislative issues driving business, we spent last year building our inventory, and so when the real surge began in December of last year, our inventory levels were at their highest point ever.
Okay.
So we didn't feel the effects of the tightness of supply as early as some other people may have. But we did nonetheless have some of those issues. We continue to have issues primarily at this point with ammunition tightness.
Okay.
It continues to this day, and we don't see it going away anytime soon.
And that's just folks wanting to stock up, wanting to have a big supply at home?
I think that's a big part of it. The other part is that since 2008, the business has been very strong. There have been a lot of new shooters come into the sport, and the bulk of those new buyers are people that actually are engaged in the shooting sport. I mean, I've been through these things before where people would hurry in, they'd buy a gun because they didn't think they'd ever be able to get another one. They'd take it home, put it in their closet, and a couple of years later bring it back and sell it back to us.
Okay.
These people are buying guns, they're buying ammunition, they're buying cleaning supplies, they're buying targets, and 2 weeks later they come back to buy more ammunition.
Okay.
They're engaged
They're
in
active,
the sport.
active. Yep. And I know ladies is really a growth area as well. Can you share with us what you see there?
Yeah, I would have never believed that the number of ladies buying handguns would be as high as it is today. And a lot of it is personal protection type purchases, but an awful lot of it is just getting involved in target shooting. They might have a husband, a boyfriend, a son in a lot of cases that wants to shoot, and the mother says, I may as well learn too. And so yes, a lot of females are involved.
So those issues, and then traditional long arms sales have been steady through this period as well?
They have, yes.
Yeah. Do you see in the future continued tightness in terms of availability, both guns and ammunition?
Well, with the expanded population of people that are involved in the sport, we do see for a period of time a tightness. Some manufacturers, like Ruger is one that was publicly talking about their level of backlog of orders being such that for a period they ceased taking orders. I think that's a good indicator that it's pretty much across the board.
Okay. And then, as far as places to go and enjoy the sport, there's a whole range of clubs that are out here. I know you're active in one, I'm active in one. Is that when folks come to purchase and as you mentioned, come back and they're purchasing ammunition, most of them are connected to a club? Is that what you see?
Well, yeah, most of them either are current members of a club or know of a club that they're going to join.
Okay.
A lot of the people, are looking to take courses as well. Handgun safety in the home is a very popular one that involves not only the actual firing of the gun, but how it should be stored in a safe manner and so forth.
And there are, I guess, also on the state game lands, fair to say, some ranges around here that folks head for as well.
Yes.
So, but there is a requirement of a license tied to that. And can you share that with us?
If they possess a hunting license, then
good to go.
Good to go.
At that point.
No issues.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, in terms of the Sportsman shop, particularly, and other gun owner or gun dealers, pardon me, in the area, the connection to the community that you have, and I know you've been a responsible businessman, an ethical pillar in terms of this industry. Can you share with us what the Sportsman shop does in its connections out to the New Holland and Eastern Lancaster County community?
Well, first of all, I guess our loyalty to law enforcement is what comes first. We try, whenever the opportunity presents itself, to assist in any way that we can. If there are certain supplies that they may be having difficulty getting, we try to help with that. We've recently helped with New Holland Borough in conjunction with Penn Dutch Sportsman to get them lights on their rifles and shotguns.
Okay.
And so we do that. The various other fire departments, ambulance services, etc., are all things that, God forbid, we all may need one day or another.
Absolutely.
So we want to try to do
So
what
glad
we
they're-
can do to be there.
Glad that they're there
Yeah,
for
for
us.
sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Beyond that, I know you've been connected to the New Holland community for a long time, and your presence is definitely appreciated and felt. As far as statewide issues, is there anything else you'd like to highlight for us as points of concern that I as a policymaker, the legislature, the governor should be looking at as we go on into the future here?
Well, over the last several months, there have been some states in the United States that have rapidly passed legislation that we believe is feel-good legislation that will not really have any effect on crime prevention. I would like to think that Pennsylvania is going to be different and not be swayed by the states that do the so-called assault weapon bans, the magazine capacity bans, and so forth. I think that the law-abiding citizens that are our customers and that are the firearms owners in Pennsylvania, they're not the problem. They're not the problem. The criminals, the repeat criminals in particular, are the problem.
Right. And that's always a challenge on the policy front, is you have, and to be frank, some really horrific situations that happen as incidents isolated in nature, but legislating by worst case scenario is a hazardous road at points, and so I appreciate that thought.
Okay.
But there's a lot we have to weigh as well. You as a dealer and involved in leadership here statewide, and we certainly in the assembly as well. I'm wondering, just as a gun guy to the core, what excites you in the product or range that you have out there? What's your favorite thing to go and shoot?
I like them all.
You like them all, okay.
I really do. I am primarily a rifle shooter, however.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up hunting primarily, became involved in target shooting competitively for a period of time, and so I'm most comfortable with rifles.
Okay.
The handguns interest came later. I enjoy that as well.
And are you a deadly aim on the target?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. My wife is far better than I am.
And that's a common. I hear the ladies are more steady, more accurate, and I hear that everywhere I go.
Yep. And there's a lot of truth to that. I see it quite often.
For a dad or mom who has a young person coming up through, what do you think's a good starting point for a young boy or gal to kind of get interested in the sport? What would you recommend?
In terms of age, or?
Well, age and product in terms of fire.
Well, as to age, I can tell you that my first granddaughter, had a rifle hanging above her bassinet when she came home from the hospital.
Wow, that's fast. Okay, well, we'd expect that from the owner of the Sportsman shop.
but certainly, I guess she was 4 years old before we attempted to have her be anywhere around it and fire it with us holding the gun. And but at what point you can spark an interest is an individual thing.
Is that typically though in early teens kind of?
Yeah, early teens is when most people get involved. However, with the new mentoring program that the Pennsylvania Game Commission has put in, I hear a lot of stories here in the shop where 8, 9-year-olds that had been going along with their parents hunting, now are becoming part of it and have have participated, and of course, you start that young, you're apt to continue it through life.
And I'm sure if they're here at your counter, you're probably sharing some safe gun practices that they need to put in place in the home as well. What advice do you give people in terms of properly providing for safety in that situation?
We talk about safes.
A gun safe.
A gun
okay.
safe.
With a lock on it.
Most of the guns that are purchased new today come with some sort of a trigger safety mechanism. Some of them are actually internal, integral to the gun. So we make sure that they are aware of that, they know how to use that, and probably my parting words to all of the youngsters is, be safe and have fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good advice. Good advice. And then, as far as parents availing themselves of training classes or courses out in the community, I know we mentioned the clubs. Any other places they can go locally?
Well, as far as specific hunting-related courses, they're primarily sponsored by the clubs. Game Commission, of course, puts them on across the state, but locally here, Penn Dutch is one of the larger ones in terms of the number of people that they put through. It's interesting to see the number of parents that will take the course with their
along
kids,
with the child.
Along with the child. Guys that have been hunting their entire life, and they come away learning something from the course.
And you can never get too much safety.
Absolutely not.
And you need those refreshers, and that's a good thing. Yeah, interesting. Do you see any within the sportsman's community changing attitudes, or is there more of just a concern that we do protect the freedoms that you run into as you talk to folks across the counter here?
Well, I think probably the Harrisburg Outdoor Show situation last February shows the level of sensitivity that is out there concerning the Second Amendment rights. Many of the people who made the decision to withdraw from that show, whether you agree with it or not, really were not people that were in the firearms business. They are hunters, they're shooters, they're people that believe that Reed should not have taken that stand.
So by other distributors, they're folks selling camping materials or
archery,
other things. Yeah.
Camping, outfitters.
Okay. But they were standing strong on the Second Amendment issue there.
Correct.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Well, Joe, I want to thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation. I think our viewers are going to love it, and appreciate your friendship, your insight that you provide to me, and your leadership on these issues.
Okay, well, we appreciate your support, Gordon.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Friends, that's all the time we have for Legislative Report. I want to thank you for tuning in and invite you to please join me next time as we take up other critical issues in our community. I'm Gordon Denlinger. My contact information will appear on your screen in just a moment. Please reach out to me on any point of interest or concern you might have. Thank you.